Hey guys, it's me, John Anthony Chihawk Soltero. I'm the anti-hero, and I'm here with another haul slash promo for non-con, which is my weekly, semi-weekly Saturday show where I do a buy it now for some sets, some keys, and then also original artwork and self-published stuff. I'm going to put the description in the link below. It would really be helpful if you could like, share. If you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. I'm not doing this to monetize or anything. I'm way far away from being able to do that, especially some of the stuff that I do on YouTube probably would get me demonetized really, really quickly. But it would just be great to get more views and to spread the word. So a lot of this stuff is going on the show. Actually, almost all of this stuff is going on the show. And some of this is stuff I just found that's been in my collection and didn't really realize it. Some of this stuff I just picked up. This past weekend, there was an event at Harley's Toys and Comics here in Tucson where I got to showcase my work, the Bubba Patrol, but I also got to sell some sets and single issues and things like that. And really, really cool, I got to, for the very first time, although I had done it previously for some people who bought the books online, I got to stamp in person the Bubba Graphs for multiple copies of the Bubba Patrol and one copy of Got Crayons. The Bubbas don't appear in Got Crayons. Actually, volume 2 that they appear, I think. Volume 1 they don't. Technically, they show up. But it was a lot of fun, made some decent money, sold some stuff, sold copies of the Bubba Patrol, which really makes me happy. There was a little girl who came up with her family. Everybody was really good wearing masks. I was wearing masks all day. My friend Kaylee, who came and hung out with me all day long, was wearing a mask. Lady T, Comic Keys, they were there. You know, we were all wearing masks. Demi came, and him and his girlfriend, they bought another sketch cover grab bag, and his girlfriend Cassie, which me and Demi have this inside joke where, like, he'll say something about Cassie, and it's never anything bad. And I'm like, damn it, Cassie. And he was like really hoping I was going to do that during when I got to meet her. But it was really cool getting to meet, somebody who's important to a friend of mine who's also a fan of my work. And just getting to make some new sales for people as well. Like I was saying, this little girl came up with her family, and she saw a set of Batman books that I had, and I guess she was doing like book reports for school, and so she's got to read and then tell stories about the books. Of course, if you've never been in elementary school or junior high, book reports probably one of the most fun things ever, because to tell people about your book or write about it or whatever. I always got a kick out of doing book reports when I was a kid. I always loved reading back in the day. I don't read nearly as much as I should. I read comic books, but I don't read as many books like novels and autobiographies and stuff like that. I really need to get back into it. Anyways, little girl comes up and she sees the Batman book in front, and I'm like, oh, well, this is a set, and it's 6 or 7 or 8 books or whatever, and this is how much it is. And she's like, oh, okay. And Dad's like, Mom's like, do you want to read that for your book report? And I'm like, this little girl's like 8 or 9 years old, maybe 9 on the high side. She's probably like 7 or 8. And I was just like, here's a really great book for a book report. This is called The Bubba Patrol. This is a book I do. And told her about it, and she was just kind of like looking at it. And Mom and Dad, like, to my surprise, were not only like, we'll get you the Batman books if you want, but we'll get you the Bubba Patrol if you want as well. And she was looking at it, and she was just like, well, I really want the Batman books. And she's like, but look, this is superhero dogs. And I'm like, it's suitable for all ages. I've got fans who are young, old, little kids who can't read yet, who look at the pictures and follow the story. And I've got people my parents' age who read the book, who really appreciate it. And she was just like, oh, yeah, okay. So put them together, and I was just like, would you like your book autographed by the dogs. And she was just like, yeah. So we got to Bubba-graph the books. Got to with Grayson's Tale with the Bubba Files. I usually, and this has been my standard as of right now, just stamping Grayson's paw on it because it's his story. If people want all of them, I've got no problem with that. The more the merrier, but it's just kind of neat because it's his story, and Grayson's just such a funny little guy. And with issue 3 coming up, being able to do just Cypress's paw would be cool. But if people want all 3 Bubba stamps, that I've got no problems with that. I know Cypress wouldn't have a problem with it. This was actually also the first time I cleaned these, and the Salty Lick, who made these stamps for me, did a phenomenal job. Super happy with these. I love being able to Bubba-graph. I call them Bubba-graphs because they're Bubba footprints. They clean off pretty easily with a little bit of dish soap, lukewarm water, and like just a paper towel. And they come off really, really good. I didn't scrub too hard. I didn't want to rub any extra stuff off. But I'm going to have to clean in between signings, because if somebody wants gold, then you can go from gold to black after the gold dries, or even if the gold doesn't dry and you just wipe it off or whatever, but you can't go from black to gold without cleaning it first. So in the future, I will have to maybe bring some cleaner with me, some dish soap, like just in a spray bottle with dishwater or something like that, and then just clean them on the fly. Because I was going to sign the copy that I gave to Harley's because of, you know, everything that they've done for me and the Bubba Patrol. And when I told Ronnie, I was just like, but I can't stamp them in gold. I can only stamp them in black right now. And the cover is signed in gold Sharpie. She's like, all right, I'll wait. So next time I go up there and they're clean, I got to remember to take the gold stamps with me. Anyways, super fun time. Picked up some stuff from Lady T Comic Keys. Picked up some stuff from Harley's themselves. Let me see if I can grab those books I got from Harley. But yeah, I had a ton of fun. And I don't know where those books went. Okay. Well, probably not good for a video to get up and look around and stuff. Just kind of weird. Anyways, so I've been shopping regularly, getting my weekly books, and decided to, and the last one I'm going to show isn't the most valuable book, but when I saw it, I really wanted it and couldn't justify purchasing it, but there's a story behind it. So I picked up second printing of Legends of the Dark Knight. This is the first Robin King and the first Darkest Knight, I believe. Terry McGinnis becomes the Darkest Knight. Second printing. It's kind of neat that, like, I mean, back in the day, DC started doing their variants where they would add like a red background. In fact, I was just looking through my Booster Gold set from 2007. In the second print of issue number 1, it's red in the background. The imagery is exactly the same. But the first print is blue, second print is red, of course. And then they kind of did the same thing for Hell Arisen 3 and Batman 89. You know, the first punchline and the cameo punchline and everything. So they've, it's kind of interesting and important with these because they're not changing the artwork, but they are changing the book enough. Whereas when Marvel would do second prints back in the day, they had their little strip on the bottom and they would just change that color. And it was just like, oh, it's a second print variant. And I'm like, that's not really a variant when you just drop the color in there. Changing the color of the logo doesn't take a whole lot. Changing the color in the background does take a little bit more time. But now with the advent of everything being digital, or at least a lot of the coloring being digital, you can do that pretty easily. Just like this one. Batman, The Adventures Continue #2. This is the first appearance of Sonny, Deathstroke's sidekick or apprentice. Again, the first one was more of a like an orangish gray palette, and then this is of course red. And the reason that this is super super easy, I actually just watched Jerk Comics video today about Alex Ross and why he refuses to work digitally. And one of the reasons he refuses to work digitally, or his flat out reason for refusing to work digitally, is he can't be made to change anything. He doesn't like redoing stuff. Don't get me wrong, I don't think anybody likes redoing stuff. But if you redo it digitally, he's learned that a lot of artists who've been doing stuff digitally, painting digitally, doing their covers or interiors digitally, will be told to change elements because art directors or editors don't understand that just because it's digital doesn't mean it's necessarily just keystrokes to change stuff. Some color wise, yes, but doing full on corrections and going in and like changing lines or moving characters, or like, we don't want this character here because we don't want to tell this part of the story yet. We want to save that for the insider, what have you. You still have to go back and fix stuff. I've done stuff digitally where I've done commissions and people have said, oh, well, can you change this? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a little bit easier because if you just want, like if somebody's wearing a shirt and they're like, well, I want the shirt to have a different logo on it. I don't have to redraw the whole thing. I just have to redraw whatever the logo is, or redraw the, you know, if they're wearing a hat or something like that, or redo their hair. That's been one where if I'm doing something by marker, I call it analog because it's digital analog, and people will say, well, their hair is a different color. It's not brown, it's blonde. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great because I already colored it darker. So I either have to redo everything, or sometimes with alcohol markers, depending on how it's set, you can go in and you can kind of blend it down a little bit. But that is why, let me just tell you, if you're watching this and you're thinking of commissioning somebody and you want something very specific, you need to give them good photo references. If you're giving like a bad photo reference and you're like, you take a picture like this and somebody can't see what color your hair is because it's blending in with the background right there, you need to tell them or give them a better picture of your eyes or your hair or whatever, because if they're doing it analog, that's not an easy fix. And I don't know about other artists, but if you give me a bad reference photo or don't give me enough detail on something and I'm drawing it regular pen, ink, and marker, I'm gonna charge you to have to redraw that, because I don't want to have to redraw something because you didn't give me the accurate information or the information I should have had. Kind of off track, but that's how my brain works. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I got Batman 99, the B cover, the Clown Hunter cover. I'm not reading Batman right now, but I mean, that's just a sweet cover. I don't normally buy books for the cover unless it's a book I'm already reading and one cover happens to be better than the other. But I mean, it's not just, I mean, the artwork is great, the juxtaposition is great, the character design is stupidly phenomenal because of just how ridiculous it is. Like it better than Anarchy with the big Weeble hat and everything, but still just kind of ridiculous in its entirety. This is comics. You saw somebody running around like this in a live action movie, you'd be like, that looks really strange. But it works in comics. It works in a painting and an illustration, and it'd probably even work in animation, but it may not work in real life. So I picked this one up from Aftershock called Miles to Go, #1. Really, really interesting. I read the synopsis of it. I haven't read it yet, but a really interesting synopsis behind the story, so I gotta check this out. Then this week, I picked up Batman the Joker Warzone #1 B cover. The weird thing about this is when I looked it up on Key Collector, it is not listed as a B cover. When you click over on the variants, like the main cover is Joker's face, and then this is the secondary cover, but it doesn't have like a price on it. And usually if it's a B cover, it's got, it's like cover price or whatever. And it didn't have a price on it. I checked it again today and it didn't have a price on it, but whatever. So, I'll show second to last. He is back, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Robinson. Jimmy Jet Black Robinson was the name of his publishing company back in the day, but I'm gonna hashtag trend that. He's Jet Black Jimmy Robinson. This is the newest 2 issues, or the first 2 issues of his new miniseries, Bomb Queen Trump Card. And I believe Jimmy is working digitally on this book. The art style, still his art style, but it looks slightly different. I noticed that with Jamal Campbell. I think like halfway through Naomi, he started working digitally, or maybe something happened with the artwork, but you noticed that it became digital because of how fine the artwork became. But yeah, Jimmy Robinson, people have been clamoring for Jimmy to do Bomb Queen again. This is, I think, volume 7 of the Bomb Queen series. Now, one of the cool things about Bomb Queen is way back in the day with volume 5, the Divine Comedy, the last issue, the second to last page, has my characters, Nash and Kyle, asking for Bomb Queen's autograph. They don't say anything. They're just standing right next to her while it looks like she's signing an autograph for people. So it's really, really sweet. Got to meet Jimmy Robinson in 2008 at San Diego Comic-Con, had lunch with him at San Diego Comic-Con in 2010, chat with him on Facebook every once in a while. And he drops by the show every once in a while. So it's cool to have some to know some creators, independent creators, and like higher, more well-known independent creators, because Jimmy Robinson is still an indie creator. Like Bomb Queen is creator owned, but he sits at the Shadowline booth at San Diego Comic-Con. He was at the virtual San Diego Comic-Con this year. That's something that's still a goal of mine. Like San Diego Comic-Con was a goal of mine, and then it kind of went away. And I was just like, for the price of San Diego, I can do 4 shows a year and probably make a bigger impact than I would at San Diego. But with the advent of the Bubba Patrol, and now going on year 3 of the Bubba Patrol, the goal is to get back to go to San Diego so I can solicit this, and so people on a wide scale can see the book. I think it would do really, really well because it's all ages. And that was the thing that, like, some people say this is a kid's book. And the correction that I have to make to that is it's an all ages book. I will go into that later because that's not the point of this. But Jimmy did some other stories. He did The Empty. He did 5 Weapons. He was working on a book called Power Lines, and they got 3 issues into it when the series got canceled. And there's a lot of different reasons why it got canceled. I don't want to go into those. That's Jimmy's story to tell. But ever since then, and it's been a while, like myself as a fan and a friend have been wanting him to get back on this creative track, and seeing him do a lot of different stuff. And he does these great videos on Facebook where he does the culinary delights of Jimmy Robinson. And it's him eating like exotic cereals. And by exotic cereals, I mean like Count Chocula when it's out of season. He does unboxings, like Sanrio unboxings and stuff. He's a huge Hello Kitty fan. I don't know what his thoughts are on Agretzko on Netflix, but I enjoyed season 1 and I got to watch season 2. So, but Jimmy started working on a project that he hadn't named back in, I believe, 2016 or 2017. And his goal, because of what happened with Power Lines, was he wanted the entire book to be finished. Like I think it was going to be 5 or 6 issues, and he wanted it all to be done. And so he's working on it, and he's telling the story, and he's showing some artwork, and the protagonist is a disabled woman of color. I think she might have also been queer, but so he's telling this story, and all of a sudden the Me Too movement hits. And Jimmy took a step back because, and this is just the thought process of a creator who's also a person of color. Um, his story had a lot to do with what would become the Me Too movement, and or what we found out was the Me Too movement. He didn't create it or anything like that. Like it was coinciding, and Jimmy decided to forego doing that story, even though he was, I don't know how many issues he was into that. But he was a good ways into the creation and some character redesign and stuff like that. And he decided that as a man, that was not his story to tell. And from the perspective of somebody who's trying to understand his place in the world and offer supports and be an ally and like use what privilege I have to give other people the platform, because it's not my story, it's theirs. It's not my words, it's theirs. And they need to be able to speak their truth. And I should just support that. But as a man, he was just like, this is not my story to tell. And so he capped that. And that was like, I don't know how long ago that was. It was a couple of years ago, easily. And then solicited Bomb Queen, and I remember seeing images for it, and I didn't get in on it to be able to put it on my pull list right away because I didn't know when it was coming out. But I walked into another LCS here in town, and issue number 1 was there, and I was like, I gotta buy that. And the only difference between this and the image that he posted online was right here on her shoulder, there was a Trump tattoo, like a profile. And so when I saw the finished book, I was just like kind of disappointed that the Trump tattoo was not on there. But I think that was probably just part of his solicitation effort, just to let people know that like this is what it's about. And I read issue number 1 on Wednesday, I think, and Trump's in it, and the story is kind of interesting because it's been a while since Bomb Queen came out, but it's getting back into these characters and the Shadowline universe. And the Bomb Queen universe, or maybe it's like the Newport universe. She's in Newport City. It's interesting, and I'm interested to see where this goes because Bomb Queen is just, she's like my character Guri, but like turned up to 50. Like she gives no Fs, and she's a super villain. So like, you know, if she doesn't care, she's just gonna blow your head off anyways. In fact, she kills a bunch of people in the first issue, and it's just so hilarious because it's like I thought these were going to be people who stood up to her, and like no, like 2 pages later they're all dead. It just that's the maniacal mind of Jet Black Jimmy Robinson. And but if you're not reading it, you should read it. I mean, just because it's parody, it's, you know, but it's also supporting an independent creator. And if you put it on your sub list, then, you know, like LCSs are making sure they order it. If you put it on your sub list, chances are they're going to order extra copies of it so that other people can pick it up and they can, you know, back order it and stuff like that. So it's always great to like order books that are from independents. I got to get back on some independents that I've stopped reading and need to get back on, like The Goon and Usagi. The Goon was one of my favorite indies, and then when I switched LCSs, I didn't take it with me, so I need to get back. Anyways, 25 minutes into this, Death Metal Multiverses End, and I'm kind of stoked about this because I did that Multiversity cover with Yankee Poodle on it the other day, and like the interiors with Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew is pretty phenomenal. I'd really love to get the B cover of this, the incentive cover, because it's Captain Carrot and like all the rest of the Zoo Crew are just laid out dead. And I actually just bought off eBay the Showcase Presents Captain Carrot and the Amazing Zoo Crew. So that'll be here next week or the week after. I also picked up, I'm reading Immortal Hulk. And this is the one-shot, The Threshing Place. I don't know if I'm going to continue reading Immortal Hulk. I just need to curb my spending, and I got to figure out like which books to not read anymore. And it's not personal, but it's just, you know, you gotta pick and choose. I got DC Rebirth, Batman, Batwoman Beyond number 12, Batman Beyond 26, the first Future Joker, I believe. Fantastic Four 275. I've always loved these like snarky She-Hulk covers where she's presented as this like uber sex symbol. There's a couple other ones. There's one where she's holding the newspaper in front of her, and the editor is like trying to hand her the jump rope. They're like, we need to raise sales, and it was this eye candy bombshell cheesecake kind of thing that they made in order to like push the envelope of like what's acceptable for sales and stuff. All right. This is Danger Dolls mashup number 1. This is the Risque Mendoza cover. Don't worry, it's covered up. I got Money Shot number 1. I love that cover. That cover is pretty great. I got number 1, the variant, the Risque cover. It's still polybagged and everything. Number 2, I actually found number 3 at a local comic shop. I got to go back, or a local bookstore. I got to go back and get it. Exiles number 1. Now, this is listed as the first appearance of Morph. However, this came out in the 2000s, and Age of Apocalypse Alpha, it was mid-90s. So that was Morph, Age of Apocalypse Morph, but it's the same guy. So, I don't know. He's an alternate universe character anyhow. Chastity, number 1. Chastity is really the only character from Chaos that I really liked. Just loved her look. She's punk rock, quasi-goth, but more like hardcore. And just made me kind of happy. So this is one that I treated myself to that I couldn't really justify spending the price on at the time. I went back like a week later and got it. This is the Jorge Jimenez Batman 99 Nightwing 1 in 25 design cover. Now, they were selling this, the price on it at the time when I bought it. It's dropped a little bit since then, but it's fine. It was $35. However, my coworkers from my birthday back in June got me a $20 prepaid Visa card. So I used it on that. So we knocked that down to $15, right? But the shop that I was going to, when you spend a certain amount of money, they give you punches. And so I got a $10 punch. And so it was $15 down to $5, cover price for it. So even if it drops all the way down to cover price, like I paid cover price for it because that's just how it was. All right. So really, really cool things. 2 of these, I'm going to do the 2 that I found this weekend. I've actually had one of these for quite some time. So when I bought my first blind boxes, they were short boxes, and I think I bought 3 of them. It had this in it. And at the time, I didn't know what this was. I didn't care what it was. I just knew that it was the first appearance of Anya Corazon Arana, Spider, who became Spider-Woman or Spider-Girl. This is Dynamic Forces. It is signed. It is still sealed. As you can see, the hologram is 100% completely intact and not messed with. It is signed by Fiona Avery, the writer. The other really cool thing is it is 36 of 499. So it's a double-digit signed book. It's got a COA from Dynamic Forces, who is pretty freaking reputable. And right now, this book is on fire. Just the first appearance, not the signed version. But then I look through my my collection, and I have Arana number 1, Aranya actually Aranya. Number 1, this is the Casada variant. Now the A cover is going for like $25, and that might be on the low end. This is the B cover. This is as you saw that, it's pushing $80-90 at this point in time. And then today, because I bought some stuff from Lady T Comic Keys, including some amalgam books, DC mashup with Marvel, that I already had, which was kind of disappointing, but I was digging through them and going through to make sure I put them all in order. I had not put a spacer in between the amalgam books and the next books, which also included another copy of Amazing Fantasy #1. This one may or may not go on the show, but the autographed one, I'm still trying to find a price for a Fiona Avery signed Amazing Fantasy #1. But this is pretty dope. I mean, I found this, and this is what I paid for it, $3.75 at the LCS that I went to where I picked this up. So, I mean, this is an $85 book. It's just kind of neat when you find stuff like that really blows up in price. Is what me and Lady T's were talking about just a few minutes ago. I sent him a picture of that, and I said, "What's your favorite flavor of Haterade?" 32 minutes. That's terrible. I doubt you guys stayed all the way until the end of this, but if you did, thank you. Because this is how my mind works. Like, this is like a Kevin Smith Q&A, except nobody actually asked me any questions. I'm just talking to you. Anyways, so you'll check out the link in the description. Go to NonCon. It'll be up. It's always going to be 7 p.m. Because I'm Arizona, and for whatever reason, we do not change time zones, or we don't fall back, we don't spring forward or spring ahead or whatever. So 7 p.m. tomorrow, that's, I believe it's still Pacific. Later this month it'll be 6. But yeah, 7 p.m. Arizona time or Mountain Standard Time or whatever. Tune in to NonCon, the official online Comic-Con. Again, the link will be in the description below. And if you like my stories, if you even bothered to stay this far into the series, just hit like, you know. Yeah, hopefully it'll get more recommendations for people, so more people will watch it. That's what I really want. I don't want to monetize any of this. I mean, if eventually it did, that'd be phenomenal. But the goal is to get this out to as many people as possible, so that I can tell my stories and just, you know, go on tangents and stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. But until next time, you guys take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Like Uncle Jerk says, keep reading comics, keep hitting up LCSs. I'm gonna do one better, like support local comic shops. Like, I mean the brick and mortar shops. That's how these people stay open. When you support the local economy, the money stays in you know, in the community. But support your local artists and independent creators as well. If you've got a little bit extra, commission somebody to do a piece for you. I'm commissioning a couple people right now to do some pieces. If you want, I mean, I do artwork too. I do not need the money, but I will be happy to draw stuff for people who want me to do it. If you want to tune in and buy some of my already pre-produced original sketch covers, my independent comic books, things like that, I will be more than happy to get them shipped out to you safely, securely, so you don't have to meet in person, because I know everything is still freaking crazy right now. But please take care of yourselves. Please take care of everybody else. Be the hero that you know you can be. I mean, be that ideal. Live that life. See you guys next time.